I want to wish everyone a super warm welcome to a new season of Tocca Talks. And my very first guest this fall is the amazing Brianna Abruzzo. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
I am really excited to have you on the show. I actually got your contact information from a friend of mine. And he told me you need to speak to this girl because she's an amazing dancer, an amazing performer, and she's in the new Steven Spielberg West Side Story movie. And I was like, yes, please.
So sweet.
Yeah. So you are currently in Nashville. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, I moved here a year ago
Okay.
during the pandemic from New York City.
Oh, okay. But you're born and raised in New York, as far as I've read
Yes.
online.
Yes, I'm from Long Island, New York.
Okay.
I trained in ballet at the School of American Ballet for 11 years
Okay.
in New York City. And I really wanted to be a professional ballerina.
Oh,
So
wow.
I joined the Miami City Ballet for 2 years and then realized it wasn't for me.
Really?
Yes. And ever since I was a little kid, I knew I wanted to perform on Broadway and do musical theater and act and sing. So I kind of kept that in my back pocket, but I thought it would be later in my life.
Okay.
Because a ballerina's career isn't very long. Well, ended up coming sooner, and I'm so grateful it did because of the opportunities that presented themselves. So I transitioned to musical theater and moved back to New York City, and that was that.
I see. Okay. So how come you ended up in Nashville now? Do you have family there, or why did you go there?
I don't. My fiance is a singer-songwriter, recording artist, and he's been visiting Nashville quite a bit, and had some opportunities down here. And we just, took them because Broadway was closed. I didn't have a job anymore, and for the foreseeable future, and we thought, why not just take the opportunity and see what happens? And
Right.
if I need to go to New York, it's only an hour and a half flight.
Yeah. So were you in the show when everything closed down, or?
I had just left Anastasia, the musical tour, well, I had left originally to do West Side Story, and then I went back on tour to Swing. So I had just left, and they're like, do you want to come back again to Swing? And I was like, maybe. And then everything shut down.
Yeah.
And what are you working on right now?
I'm producing a show called From Broadway till Duvemåla, which is kind of like a greatest hits, like musical theater greatest hits show that had been touring for 4 years before the pandemic hit. So we were actually about to celebrate our 5th year anniversary with that show. Hopefully we can celebrate our 5-year anniversary next year, if nothing else. So
yeah.
But it's a fun show. It's a lot of just great singing, a lot of singing. So but this year we're actually incorporating a little bit of tap dancing and a little bit more movement into it. So
okay, fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. But I want to know about you. So you started out dancing. Was that like your first love, so to speak?
Yes. Well, I hated it when I was 3.
Well, when you're 3, you kind of hate everything if it's not ice cream or a puppy.
Yeah. So. My teachers were way too mean. I didn't like it. But I don't know. When I turned 8, I saw my sister dancing, and I said I want to do that. And she was in the Nutcracker with New York City Ballet, so I loved that. So I said I want to do that too. So I followed in her footsteps, and I really did just love it right away. It's kind of strange because it's so disciplined and strict at 8, 8 years old. So, but I don't know. I think I liked the structure of it, and I think I find that when there's structure in things, it's actually freeing.
Yeah.
In other ways. So I continued with that at that school until I was 18. And it got very serious. Like in the advanced levels, you have class at 10 a.m. and then again at 2:30, and then rehearsals in the evening. So I had to switch schools and move from Long Island to Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
To go to a special high school that accommodated that schedule.
Right.
Yeah, there's a school, professional children's school in New York, that a lot of the Broadway actors go to, dancers, Juilliard students. And you can kind of, it's like a college in a way, because you can make your schedule around your professional schedule.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I would go to high school at 8, and then I'd run to class for 10 o'clock class, and then I'd go back to school, and then I'd come back for like point class at 2:30, and then stay until the evening and go home and do my homework somehow.
Wow, that's hard work.
I don't even know how I did it.
No, it's interesting because I went to, in Sweden we have, or in Stockholm we have a school called Adolf Fredriks, where basically you have to audition to get in, and it's you start from 10 years old, and then you have music and singing every day, but you have like all the regular classes as well in the same school. And now I mean, I'm way older than you, but so when I grew up, that was the only option in the Stockholm area. But now it's spread out, so there are several different schools in Stockholm and all over the country who sort of accommodates the same schedule. And what you did sounded way harder, though.
It was just the traveling back and forth. Like, you're already tired from class and need to walk to your school classes.
Yeah. And you still you lived in Manhattan, you said?
Yes.
But how old were you?
I moved to Manhattan when I was like 12, I think.
Who moved
with my mom?
Oh, with your mom?
My mom, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, my parents split, and I moved my mom to the city.
Oh, I see. So then you became a professional ballerina. And you said in the beginning that turned out not to be for you. Was there?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it started off great. I was so happy because I got into the company. A lot of times ballet companies have a second company, or like an apprenticeship or a traineeship, and like it's basically a way to not pay you for a couple years. And then maybe you get into the company or maybe not. So I got into the course, so I was really happy about that. And about like 6 months in, my director was calling me in about my weight, saying that some terrible things to me about my weight. I had gained like 5 or 7 pounds, and I realized that I had developed the hormone issue, PCOS.
Okay.
And I was doing all I can to figure out what to do, what medicine, will I get a trainer, get a nutritionist, all these things. And boiled down to the stress from my director and from the ballet company was really not helping take care of this PCOS. And I was being called into meetings every month, being taken out of ballets, and just really not dancing, not doing what I went there to do. It was like, you don't look like a ballerina. I was like, well, you're taking me out of dance. You're taking me out of performances. So how am I supposed to look like a ballerina when I'm not balleting?
Right. Yeah. That's terrible, though.
Yeah. So that was at like 19, dealing with all of that, trying to hold on to the thing that I worked my whole life to get to.
That must be devastating.
After like,
yeah,
it was 2 years of that. And eventually she pulled my contract at the end of the second year.
Oh, wow.
Early.
Okay. And so
it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it sounds like a nightmare. I mean, I can somehow relate because I feel like in our business, I've been struggling with weight issues my whole career, although I've never really been overweight. You know, like when I look at pictures from when I did Phantom of the Opera or shows like that, there was absolutely nothing wrong with my weight, you know? So I don't know what it's like on Broadway now, but I feel like there is there's been a little bit of a shift. It's not as crazy anymore.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Well, coming from ballet into musical theater, it was like so rejuvenating because I just felt like it was really more about your talent and abilities than about the way you looked or like the number on a scale. And like, mind you, I felt great in my body. I liked my body, and I didn't like having to figure out PCOS and all that, but I didn't really want to change my body. So,
yeah,
you know, but I thought that musical theater, the world was way more open and not as rigid. And, you know, there's a part for everyone. But now I think it's even more so. Now, like every different body type and color and everything is celebrated and welcomed.
Yeah, it seems to have, you know, happened like a big shift just in the last maybe 5 or 10 years. I feel like in terms of just representation on stage. I'm thinking of, I can't remember her name, but the woman in the wheelchair, wasn't she in Oklahoma? We wouldn't have seen that on stage 20 years ago.
No.
So just the inclusiveness in general, I feel, is something that Broadway has sort of been leading the way.
And I see that crossover in all other fields too, and modeling what I see in magazines or commercials or TV shows. I feel like it's crossing over into other sections as well, which is really nice.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So what was your first, like you said, you moved back from Florida to New York to pursue musical theater. And what was your like process of doing that, except just obviously moving?
Well, I did the grind.
Yeah.
I was working in retail. I was going to Columbia University and babysitting and doing all these odd jobs. And then I would go to the early morning open calls. That started I would get there at, 7 a.m. for like a 10 o'clock call and write my name down on the non-union list. And then I might like go do something and then come back at 9:30 and see if I was able to be seen. And then do the same thing for the 2 o'clock audition if I could, and then grab a class here, a dance class there, an acting class there. And then I sought out agents as well at that time, and was lucky enough to get recommended to CESD, which I'm still with and love. And that really helped me get into the room, into invited calls.
Oh, good.
So I wasn't always, there at the crack of dawn. When you're, as you know, when you're non-union, you could go to all these calls, but you're not going to be seen, 95% of the time.
Wow.
So you're going really kind of for nothing. They'll see you like if there's time at the end, but there's usually not.
Yeah. Well, that's really hard. We don't really have that system in Sweden yet, but it's still really difficult to get into the auditions, especially if you're a young performer just starting out, because there aren't very many like open calls or even that many auditions happening. I mean, we're a small country, and what I realized, because I've been working a lot abroad throughout my career, and coming back to Sweden, I realized it was really, really difficult getting into auditions because either the directors have already worked with, a specific group of people and they like to work with the same people. or, you know, the producers have worked with. Yeah, so it was really difficult to just get in. And as a producer now, I do understand that a bit better, because, you know, auditions are time consuming. And if you have worked with people and you know that they work really well and they do their job, and you know there's not going to be any new drama happening, you know how to handle them, so to speak. And as soon as you bring in a new person, there might be problems. It might be great, but you know, you just don't know. So yeah, I feel like I understand the other side of it, but it's still frustrating as a performer when you just want to get a chance, and you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it too. I mean, also, our shows on Broadway, they have to have auditions every certain, I think it's every 6 months. They have to have an audition, even if they don't need anyone.
Really?
So it's kind of a waste of their time, and it's a waste of our time too. So
Why
sometimes
is that? Do you know?
it's a union rule.
That's
maybe it's so that the actors can get in front of the casting directors and director more. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes it'd be like, oh, I got in, and then it's like, oh, they're not casting.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, that's hard. I mean, because I'm trying now, as I'm producing more, to see especially the younger, newer people, just so that they get a chance to be seen and get the practice. But sometimes there's just no time or money to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a way, I feel like the pandemic has opened up a few options that we didn't really use before. Like I have a lot of friends in Los Angeles, and they have been doing, you know, self tapes forever for film and TV, but we haven't really used that opportunity for musical theater. But now I feel like during the pandemic, people have been using self tapes as well for live performance.
Right.
So
for everything. Yeah. And also that way it's faster, so you could see a ton of people virtually on self tapes.
Yeah, and all, you know, people don't have to travel, they don't have to wait in line, they don't have to do all these things. And you know, unfortunately, sometimes you can just look at the first 5-10 seconds of a video and know that this is not right for what I'm casting right now, so you can just move on. And yeah, it's a whole new thing happening. But
I have a whole self-tape set up upstairs.
I know. I've seen some of your stuff that you post on your social media, where you do like post self-tapes and stuff. I will be posting your social media in the section below. So if you want to go and follow and have a look at all of Brianna's stuff, you will find it in the description of the video. I just want to say that because I think your social media could be really helpful for people starting out, or you know, because you're posting a bunch of your self tapes, which is really fun to watch. Actually,
on TikTok, I post all the self tapes I didn't book,
really?
all the jobs I didn't get. Yeah, so as long as it's not out. So if I, you know, I won't post anything from a show that's not out yet. But
right.
But yes, you can go see what I didn't book.
Oh, well, but you know, there's a lot of practice to be done when it comes to self tapes, because for us here, at least, it's very new. Like I have a bunch of Swedish actor friends, and about 5 years ago, like 7 years ago, something like that, they didn't even do self tapes for film or TV here. It was all, you know, like being seen in person for real auditions. So it's happened quite fast here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, it's a whole other technique too.
Yeah.
And it involves editing and lighting and all these things that, you know, us as actors don't want to do, but now we do.
Yeah. So which program do you use when you do that?
I just use iMovie.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, because it's so easy to, I mean, I started out with my YouTube channel just doing stuff on, you know, through iMovie. Now I work with iMovie's Big Brother. I'm having a total brain freeze right now, but it doesn't matter. But the point is that anyway, you can use iMovie, which is, you know, already in your computer to do things really easily. But yeah, anyway, go check out her social media. It's really fun to see all her self-tapes, and educational as well, I should say. So what was your first musical theater job that you booked?
West Side Story, actually. Really? Not the movie, but a production in Sarasota, Florida at the Oslo Theater. Okay. And I was Graziella. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was one of those, I was auditioning all the time. I didn't even look to see, I was auditioning so much with these open calls that I didn't even look to see where it was performing or who the director was. I was just walking in and just, I know it's West Side, okay, I'll do it. And so it wasn't till after I got a call back for it, and I was like, oh, where is this happening? I should probably look that up. And it was a great theater that's really well known, a great regional theater. And it was a union show, which was great, so I could get union credit.
Right.
I didn't get to join the union with that show, but I met tons of amazing actors that have gone on to have incredible careers. Izzy McCullough was my roommate, and she was in The Prom, and she was Jasmine in Aladdin. And man, there are so many with that show. So that was an amazing start to my musical theater journey. Yeah.
So just to back up a little bit, I was thinking about, like, when did you start singing and acting? Is that something you have been doing all your life as well? Or was that something that you picked up after quitting ballet?
So again, I always loved to sing and act too. But my ballet schedule was so intense, I didn't really have enough time to work on it. But I did do voice lessons once a week since I was like 14. So I was working on that still.
Did you have a, sorry to interrupt you, but did you have a dream role, or have you ever had like a dream show or dream role that has inspired you? I'm just asking because one of the reasons that I got into musical theater was that I really wanted to do Christine in Phantom.
I always saw myself in Phantom of the Opera.
You look like a Christine.
Maybe I'll have to take pointers from you, lessons from you. So yeah, I always saw myself in that show as Christine or Meg. And I don't know that I'm right for it, but I love Legally Blonde, the musical.
Oh, wow. Yes, that's fun.
Yeah, I love Elle Woods, and I love the whole musical. So that was a show that inspired me to. Honestly, every show that I went to growing up, I just loved. I knew I could dance, and I wanted to do more than just dance. I wanted to incorporate all the elements. So after I got West Side Story, then I was able to sign with an agent in New York, but I didn't book another job until a year later.
Wow.
So another year of hustling. I moved to New York. About 3 months later, I booked West Side Story. So not that long. And then there was a year until I booked American in Paris. But I had been auditioning for American in Paris before I even went to Paris.
Oh, wow.
Because I knew Christopher Wheeldon, the director, from my ballet school. Because he went to SAB. He was in New York City Ballet. And I went to SAB. And I was in one of his ballets.
Right. As
a little kid. So I knew him, and I reached out to him saying I'd love to audition. And I went to it, and they didn't even have choreography. We just did random ballet steps across the floor. But they're like, you're a little young, come back another time. So I had been auditioning for that since I was in Miami City Ballet.
Oh.
So, and then I auditioned for it again when I went to Broadway, and then again when I went on tour.
Yeah.
And I didn't book it until a year into the tour.
Oh, wow.
So there was a time where I was in an American in Paris audition once a week.
Oh, no.
And I was like,
persistence, though, people.
You gotta book me or let me go. Because you've seen everything you need to see.
Exactly.
And they were like, no, we really like you. We're trying to find the right spot for you. And like, we don't know who's going to leave the tour. So we just,
Yeah. No, it's always this big puzzle to put a show together. And I think it's important for people to realize that you can be like, quote unquote, the best person, in general, but there still might not be a place for you at that particular time.
Right.
So, yeah. Just because that's something that I think that I kind of misunderstood maybe in the beginning of my career, that if I had gotten a no, that they wouldn't be interested. So, but this just shows that, you should go back again and again and again. I mean, I don't know how many times I auditioned for Christine in Phantom of the Opera in different countries. And I was always, getting a call back and getting really close, but I never got it. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons I know now in London is that I was considered a little bit too tall for Christine. Because the men in general playing Phantom and Raoul were short. So it wasn't until the audition for the Copenhagen production that I actually booked the job, because there we had like this huge Phantom and a very tall Raoul as well. So I looked tiny next to them. And mind you, I'm not a very tall person. I think I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
So I'm not super tall, but for musical theater and, sort of the ingenue girls, I was considered a bit tall.
Also, the men seem to be not super tall in musical theater. So
exactly.
Yeah. So like all these things you don't know. And also timing, I feel like, is just everything.
Yeah. And I would say what you also mentioned, reaching out to a contact you already had, like, do that. Don't be afraid to reach out and just let people know you're interested, because I mean, when you're sitting on the other side of the table, you have so many things happening and, things to do that you might not think of this one person that you actually liked 2 years ago, so it's always good to just sort of check in and let them know you're still interested or available.
Yeah, it's scary, but
I know it's scary, but it's, I've never really had a super negative reaction from anyone by reaching out in a friendly way, so
yeah,
not that hard or scary. Once you actually do it, you just have to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would think if you're putting a show together, you would want people there who want to be there.
Of course.
So
absolutely,
to hear from people that they want to be there and they're interested, why not?
Yeah, exactly. So you were on tour, like the American tour of what was it again? Sorry, An American in Paris?
Yes.
Yeah. And was that like a whole year or how long? Yeah.
So it had been going on for a year, and then I replaced someone and I did that for 10 months until it closed.
Okay. And then you did Anastasia, or did you do something in between?
Yes. Yeah. I did Anastasia. So with that, we had a week off from An American in Paris, and I went back home, and my agent got me an audition with Anastasia, the tour. And I was like, and it started right after American in Paris. So I was like, I don't know, do I want to do that? But I'll just go to the audition and see. Yeah. And I went to the audition. It was really fun, but I didn't feel like I did my very best. and they said, we're not going to book you right now, but you're on hold for Broadway.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, even better. Okay, great. So, and I think Anastasia must have booked their auditions for that week intentionally. They must have known American in Paris was off for a week, because the show had some ballet in it and needed some ballerinas. Probably knew that people from American in Paris would be right for Anastasia. So I think they did that intentionally, scheduling wise. And then a bunch of my friends booked, and then like a little bit later they called me and they were like, actually, we really need you for the tour.
Oh.
Would you be interested in the tour instead? I was like, yeah, great. So I said yes, and I think I had like a month off from my first tour, and then we started rehearsals, and then we're back on tour again.
Yeah. That's hard though.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
not to get too personal, but I mean, I'm just assuming that it's difficult to have a personal life and a relationship when you're constantly touring. I mean, I'm speaking from my own experience a little bit, but how do you feel? Like, how has that been for you?
Yeah, for sure. For me, I felt like I was still new, and why am I going to turn down this great job? But at the same time, while I was on tour, my boyfriend and I moved in together, but I wasn't there.
Right.
So, and he moved all of our furniture and everything. Great guy. And so I was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm not going to even be there. And unfortunately, when we met, we weren't in the same city.
Right.
So he moved to New York to be with me. And a month later, I went on American in Paris tour. And then we move in together, like, yay, the tour's ending, we'll like move in together. And then I was like, well, I booked Anastasia.
Oh.
Yeah. So the timing doesn't always work out. But he's also an artist, and he's super supportive. And because he sets his own schedule, he was able to visit me quite a bit, at least once a month, sometimes twice. But yeah, I mean, it's still hard, even if your person can visit you that much. But now, yes. So I came back from tour. We were together in the city for about a year. And then now we moved here and we're engaged. So
yay. So everything worked out. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's good. I'm happy to hear that, because it can be really difficult. I mean, I've been working, as I said, all over the place, and it's difficult when you're sometimes in different countries all the time, and you know, the distance,
the time zone.
Yeah. So I'm really happy it worked out for you guys, though.
Thanks.
So that's really cool. Okay, but now I really want to get into the whole West Side Story movie situation. So first of all, like, how did this happen? What was the audition process like? And like, tell me everything.
Okay. I'll tell you as much as I can tell you.
Okay, wait. So there are like secrets you can't tell me?
Yes.
What?
I can tell you.
We all know how West Side Story ends. Like, they all die, basically. No, but you know what I mean? Like, we know the story.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay, so this audition process for me was, I think, the easiest out of anything, oddly enough. I don't know. The stars were aligned for this one. So, but the beginning was tricky. I'll tell you why. So during the first week of rehearsals with Anastasia, I get a call from my agent that I have an appointment for West Side Story, the movie, next week. So the second week of Anastasia rehearsals. And I was like, I don't think they're going to let me go. Like, is there a way I could just go like straight to the callback? Because I knew the choreographer. I'd worked with him before. And they were like, they got back to me, yes, you can go straight to callbacks. I was like, great. So I contact the stage manager, and she was like, nope, you absolutely cannot go. I'm sorry. We have rehearsal. You made a commitment. You can't go. I was like, okay, I get it. That's fine. Not meant to be. But what really annoyed me is that day, we didn't do anything.
Oh no.
I was like, I could have gone. This is so annoying. So, and like, meanwhile, everyone in New York City wanted to go to this audition. The line was like, for the open call was like around the block 3 times.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, not meant to be. So then I contact the director's wife, who is my friend from Miami City Ballet. Oh. And I said, I really want to go in for this. I was so excited to get the audition. I couldn't make it. Are there any other auditions? Can I send a tape? Like, what should I do? And she said, there's an audition in Miami at Miami City Ballet on this date, if you want to come. So she ended up getting me an appointment. It was for Tuesday of our opening night in Washington, D.C.
Oh.
At the Kennedy Center. So once again, my stage manager said, nope, you cannot do that. You can't miss the performance, even though the swing could have went on. So I contacted her again. What should I do? She said, well, come to the open call. It's on Monday. And then you could fly back Tuesday for the show. Okay. So that's what I did. I flew to Miami. I did the open call. They made sure that they saw me, and I got to see a bunch of my friends from Miami City Ballet. We got to dance together again, which was fun. And then I flew back to DC. I did the show, and they said, could you send a video of you singing and reading the sides? So my friends helped me at the Kennedy Center, and we filmed all that and sent it in. A week later, they said, can you come to the final callbacks in New York? I mean, the fastest thing I've ever done. I think everyone else, they were in like, a lot of rounds of auditions, but because of all these complications, I ended up just going right to the final callback. And I mean, I didn't realize it was like final callbacks, but Steven Spielberg was there, and
really
his whole team. Yeah.
Were you super nervous?
I really wasn't, because I think I was really excited, and I definitely had like butterflies, but I think like I was dancing with my friends whom I knew. I knew the choreographer. I knew his wife who was helping. I felt really comfortable with the material. It just like felt like it was just right. It just sat in my body, and I was just excited to be there no matter like what happened, what the outcome was. And then I didn't realize that we were going to be like, we danced all together for Steven, and then I sang and read like in a room just with him and like 3 other people.
Wow.
So that was crazy. But he was like just the sweetest, most open, like friendly face. He was so excited to be doing this project, and like there wasn't like an ounce of judgment that I felt. On my way out, I said, it was so great meeting you, Mr. Spielberg. And he said, oh, we'll be meeting again.
Oh.
Which is really funny.
Oh, that's
so I was like, oh, okay.
You're like, awesome.
That's what I wanted to hear.
How was the whole process of filming this movie? I mean, I've obviously only seen the trailers and the little, stuff that has come out, and it looks amazing. It really looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen some B-roll, and it's exquisite. It's so beautiful. And I think like for a lot of musical theater people, like we just kind of praise the original movie and we just love it so much. And I think people could be nervous about a new one, you know, understandably. But I just have like total faith in the team, and everything that I saw was incredible. I mean, at the day that we wrapped, they hired like a taco truck and an ice cream truck to come. Like, they treated us so well. The entire process was incredible. I kind of had a feeling that it was Steven Spielberg's like life passion project. It took him a while to be able to get the rights to do it and all that. And so he was just like overjoyed to be working on it. And so was everyone else. So it's just like an incredibly positive time.
I'm even more excited about this movie now because it's also interesting to me that you know, the passion for musical theater seems to be in a way much bigger over in America. I mean, you obviously have like the whole foundation, that's where musical theater basically comes from, and we're slightly behind, you know, in Europe and in Sweden. And because what I've realized when I've been in America doing some work is that musical theater performers are very highly valued. You know, in Sweden, though, there is more this sort of divide, I feel, between the different disciplines. Like, either you're an actor or you're a singer or you're a dancer, but if you can do like all three, they find it weird, and that means you're probably not really good at anything. You know what I mean? So I've always felt much more appreciated when I've been doing work with Americans, or when it comes to musical theater. So it's just really interesting to me to hear that, you know, one of the biggest directors of all time has probably, if I understand you correctly, dreamt of doing a musical film for, you know, for a long time.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. And when I heard that he was doing this, I thought, oh, he's going to do it in LA, and they're going to, you know, take some LA dancers and it'll be great. But for it to like, oh, it's happening in New York, and like, oh, my friends are going to be, oh, then I'm going to be in it. What? This is crazy.
So you shot everything in New York?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Either on set or on location.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn, Manhattan, all over.
Wow. So how like long was the filming going on? Like,
so it happened over 5 months. From I say May through September. The female dancers were only in it, or the jet girls were only working for like a month sporadically in that time. So the thing that I learned with TV and movies is that they give you a time frame, and it's not that.
Right.
So they said we're going to be starting May 15th. So I left Anastasia, and then I, you know, left a good job and came back to New York, and they're like, oh, actually, we're going to start in a month. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I could have been working for a month, but okay, I won't.
But you get to work with Steven Spielberg, so I'm like,
yeah, and no one's going to argue with it.
Is there anything you can tell me? Like,
I don't know what
have any like fun stories, or, you know, like, I mean, obviously I understand that you can't tell me like if there are real secrets, but are there any like fun behind the scenes stories or things that you could share with us to sort of
what can I share with you? I mean, one day Rita Moreno came and watched rehearsals, and then we all chatted with her, which was really cool. We had like, everyone had custom dresses made for them. let's see. On our last day rehearsing, all of our partners, the Jet Boys, arrived to ballet class to warm up with a rose for the girls, which was really cute.
Oh.
And I think one boy missed the memo and he got like roses and like pastries and like another gift for his partner.
Oh, or maybe he didn't miss the memo.
I know, it was like, I think you like her.
Oh, that's sweet.
I mean, it was just an incredible time. Some girls had to get perms, which was really funny.
Oh no. Oh.
I had a wig, so it was fun.
Oh, that's good. Because I'm like, a perm, that's not fun. No. Ew.
Yep.
Okay, so the movie is coming out in December, right?
December 10th.
I, for one, am super excited to see this film. As I said, everything I've seen so far, which is very little, but it looks amazing. It really, really looks amazing.
And I think everyone should really make the effort to see it in theaters, because it's just not going to have the same effect at home, if you can, if you feel comfortable going to a theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went and saw In the Heights in the theater. That was my first movie back in a movie theater, and I was really excited to see that one.
But there is a lot of like musical theater films coming out now.
Yeah.
But
musicals are the thing right now.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like that, because in a way it feels like it's sort of a response to COVID, but it can't be, because you need to plan things like this so much further in advance. So I mean, I assume that most of it was shot before the pandemic even
West Side Story and In the Heights were shot before the pandemic.
Yeah.
A year before.
Yeah. And Dear Evan Hansen is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? I can't remember now, but I saw like a list of musical theater films coming out in the next year or so.
Well, also like Schmigadoon, the musical TV show that was really cute on Apple TV. And then obviously Hamilton released the stage production.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So musical theater is really sort of in fashion again, which we're really happy about. Now we just need to get back on stage, and everyone needs to buy tickets and go to the theater, because that's where it really happens. So
yeah, I met with an agent in Nashville, and she was like, "Oh, musical theater, I don't want to be associated with that. I don't know what that is." And I was like, musical theater, like acting, movies, they're all the same.
Yeah.
Now with all these movie musicals, it's the thing. It's in fashion. So
in fashion. So what do you have coming up? Is there anything you want to talk to us about and that's happening soon?
Well, I'm filming a commercial this weekend in North Carolina. As far as big shows, I don't know. I'm auditioning.
Yeah.
And all the time, and we're from my living room. We're seeing how it goes. I mean, it's unfortunate for those who weren't in a show prior to COVID, or their show closed. You weren't really guaranteed a spot, a job back when everything did open. But I've been working a lot on TV and film during this time. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the shows that are, the pilots and the shows that are about to open. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, it was a true pleasure speaking to you. I'm so excited to see this movie and to keep following you on social media and see what's gonna come up next for you. I mean, I wish you all the best, and congratulations on your engagement as well.
Thank you.
Because honestly, the private personal life, we can't forget that. Sometimes, I feel like I did when I was a younger performer, and there's more to life than just being on stage, although sometimes feels like that is life, you know, for
Yeah.
us.
I think people experience that during COVID and everything slowing down. Like, there's more, and you are more than just what you do.
Yeah. And more than your next job or your previous job or your resume, you know. So congratulations on all the amazing things that are about to happen and that has already happened. Thank you, Brianna
Thank
Abruzzo.
you. This is so nice.
Thank you.